Welcome back to Once Upon a Time Farm. My name is Lucy. Today we're going to plant beets, carrots, and lettuce. We're going to take all of that in our 400 square foot garden.
So as you can see here, these are my first two raised beds here. In my plan is to have two more right next to it. Going to be getting to those in the next 2 weeks. So a couple of days ago on April 25th, I planted this bed, and as I described in that video, I'll put a link to that video, I am dividing, these beds are 18 feet long. I use cedar fence boards to make this. The cedar fence boards are 6 feet long. So every 6 feet, you can see where I joined the next 6 foot. That's considered a bed space. So this first bed space, I believe I planted either turnips or radishes here. And that's either turnips, I forget which one. One's turnips, the next bed's radish, and the last bed is spinach. So that's how I did my first bed all at once. Here for my crop plan to plant on May 1st, which is today, is lettuce. And this is how I plan to fill up this 6 foot space in this first 6 feet here. I have two different, depending on which type of lettuce you're trying to grow. Today I am planting a mini gem type of lettuce, so it's a smaller type of romaine lettuce. So I'm going to be planting, as I wrote here, 5 of them next to each other. These beds are 3 feet wide. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I'm going to be putting them about 6 inches apart, and I'm going to do 9 rows of them. So if I were to be doing a full-sized head, I do grow some different varieties of lettuce that grow to a bigger size head. I would space them a little bit wider, 8 inches apart, and do 9 rows with 4 going across in the row. So give them a little bit more space to grow out full. But today I'm growing these mini gem types because they take less time. I think they're about 40, something between 45 and 50 days they take to grow. And that's good because we're still in a cooler season of spring. So we're gonna get these mini gem type lettuces in this first bed here. And this is what they look like in my tray. They look pretty good. I have some red and some green. I will put the exact variety on the screen because I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But I really like these, and they really taste good. They're a really crisp type of romaine, and they grow into nice little compact heads. So I like that I could space these pretty compact. So right now I'm gonna go and plant this first bed with the lettuce. So here we go. I am going to plant this first 6 feet of lettuce, then after I plant the lettuce, the next bed, this whole row is going to be all May 1st crops. So it's going to be lettuce, beets, and then carrots. So we'll be planting 2 more crops today after I get this lettuce in the ground. I'm going to lay out where they're going to mark my rows. All right, now I have my 9 rows here, and I'm just gonna put them 5 across like I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna use for the first row, I'm just gonna make sure I'm doing 6 inches exactly, and then I'll just line up the rest of the rows with those. So it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be pretty close. So here, first row, 5 of them 6 inches apart. So I already have my row down here 8 inches apart. So now I'm just gonna match where these guys are all the way down, and then we'll be done. We'll move on to the next one. now we're on this second bed here, and in this bed we're going to be planting beets. And I think what I'm going to be doing with the beets is doing 4 rows, probably 8 inches apart. And yeah, because usually in my market garden beds I do 3 rows in a 30-inch bed, and I do them about 8 inches apart. So this is 36 inches wide, so I'll do an extra 4th row. And I'm going to be planting Chioggia beets. They're really cool looking on the inside. We're going to plant these, and yeah, we're just going to direct seed these, so let's get it planted. Alright, so I am just making a little furrow at the end of my rake. This is not going to be perfect. Don't know that it has to be perfect, but I just want to estimate about 8 inches apart in these rows of beets. Do one more. Right. Cool. So now, these beet seeds, I'll show this camera too. They're a little bit bigger, they're easier to handle than the carrot seeds. They're much easier to handle than the carrot seeds, which I'll show you next. They can be very tough to accurately seed because they're so tiny. They could stick to your hand, especially if it's humid outside. The beets, try to give a little bit of space in between because they won't grow full size if you clump too many of them together, so you might have to come and thin some of them. So I'm not planting them too dense. Like I will the carrots, I do go pretty dense because they're hard to germinate, especially if it's really dry. But right now, this type of season here in the spring, it's been so wet. We've had rain for the last 2 days. Everything's so wet. I think these beets and carrots will germinate without much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, like having people.
Man, you're not really focused on this job at hand. You're thinking about dinner, huh?
I'm thinking about this. I'm doing a pretty
Why
good
don't you
job.
ask people in the comments, comment below what we should have for dinner. Should we have pizza or chicken noodle soup?
We're already making chicken noodle soup.
Oh, I'm sure people will comment that, what we should have for dinner. I bet pizza would win.
Let's see.
Alright, so we planted our beets here. I didn't cover these up yet. I'm going to do the carrots then next, and then I'm going to cover everything with my hard rake. But you can see I did 4 rows for the beets. The carrots I did a little bit more dense. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. I have planted denser before, but we're planting some heirloom carrot varieties. These are organic rainbow carrot and scarlet nantes carrot mix. So this is going to be a very colorful mix. I had trouble growing these in my market garden last year, so I'm going to hope I have some better luck here. So I'm not planting them as dense, and I actually added more compost on top of what I already planted here so that we could get enough depth to get at least a 5 or 6 inch carrot, hopefully, at the end. So these grow really fat carrots, so it'll be a nice juicy carrot. So I'm going to plant my carrot seeds in these 5 rows here, and then we're going to have this whole bed filled up, and I'm pretty excited, so let's get to it. I want to show these seeds. You get a good look at those. If the wind blew too hard, these would all fly out of my hand and go everywhere. See, they're very small. These actually aren't the smallest ones that I've ever planted, but we're going to be real careful. I am just going to sprinkle them in here. They're going to be big clumps of carrots here. Carrots are notoriously hard to germinate, so the worst comes to worst, we have a ton of carrots all in these rows, but we might need to thin some of them out. I don't usually like to do that because it's just an extra step that I don't enjoy, but we'll see how the germination looks like. But I am just, I have a bunch in my fingers and I'm just rubbing my fingers together, letting them fall. I probably could have done 6 rows here, but if I did a different variety of carrot that was maybe a little bit smaller carrot, I would try to do 6 or 7 rows in here, but because this is an heirloom variety that gets pretty, can get pretty short and fat, I'm going to give them more space so they can grow full size. And yeah, the other thing with carrots is making sure that it stays, the soil stays really moist after you've planted, because they're not going to grow if the soil is too dry. And if you're going through a really dry month or something, you're going to want to stay on top of watering at least until they germinate. Once they germinate, they're good. And there you have it. We planted all of our crops that we had set for May 1st. We have our first 2 beds of our 400 square foot garden filled up with our first crops, our first succession of crops. And having a set plan for when to plant things is really, really beneficial. No matter who you are, whether you have a market garden, whether you're just a backyard gardener, because there's a lot of things that we have going on in our lives. We've got kids, we've got jobs. It's hard to keep track of things, but if you take the time over the winter, which is what I did, and make a plan, it takes the guesswork out of growing, and you just follow your plan and you'll be set, and you can grow food all season long. And that's what we're going to do in this video series. Thank you for watching this video, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't subscribed already. I'd really appreciate it, and you'll see more videos like this one. Also, you can sign up for our email list in the description below this video, and you'll get for free our crop plan for this 400 square foot garden. And you could use that to try to grow a similar garden or the exact same kind of garden if you just have a very small backyard. I'm doing this in a 20-foot by 20-foot space, so only 400 square feet, and I want to show how much food you can grow in a very, very small space. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.